North Dakota is known for its wide open plains and quiet farmlands. But hidden among these peaceful landscapes are ghost towns with dark pasts. These towns were once full of life, but now they're silent, except for the whispers of spirits that many people claim to hear. From abandoned homes to forgotten schools and eerie graveyards, here are some of the most haunted ghost towns in North Dakota. Number 1. Sims, North Dakota, is a real ghost town with a famous haunted story about the Gray Lady. This ghost is said to be Bertha Dordal, the wife of a Lutheran pastor who died of illness in the parsonage between 1916 and 1918. After her death, people reported seeing a gray shape walking upstairs in the parsonage and hearing footsteps when no one was there. Sometimes the old organ played by itself, even though it had been removed. Others said curtains moved, windows opened and closed, and a water pump handle moved on its own. One woman even felt an extra blanket tucked over her on a cold night, though nobody else was there. People living in the parsonage in the 1930s felt the presence was friendly, but many pastors left because of the strange happenings. Today, Sims is almost empty except for the church, which still holds services every other Sunday. Visitors and ghost hunters still come hoping to see or hear the Gray Lady, making Sims a quiet but spooky place with an authentic, gentle haunting. Number 2. Tagus, North Dakota, is a tiny ghost town with a chilling reputation called the Stairway to Hell. Long ago, St. Olaf's Lutheran Church burned down 2001. The spot is now marked by a brick memorial. Legend says this church hosted satanic rituals, complete with upside-down crosses, sacrifices, even whispers of a hidden spiral staircase descending into hell itself. Locals and thrill-seekers say if you stand near the foundation at night, you can hear distant screams from the damned and glimpses of glowing gravestones, phantom trains, and menacing hellhounds lurking among the ruins. Many stories seem to stem from youthful pranks and vandalism in the 1980s and 90s. Teenagers held parties in the abandoned church until locals gave up and chased them off to protect their town. A Reddit user remembered. Apparently in the 1980s, some teens threw a big Halloween party. This is probably where the devil-worshipping rumors started. Others describe being followed by armed locals when exploring Tagus, more an effort to keep trespassers away than proof of supernatural forces. Still, abandoned homes, overgrown cemeteries, and howling winds give the town a creepy feel, perfect fuel for ghost stories. Number 3. Arena, North Dakota, is an abandoned ghost town with a subtle, quiet kind of haunting that isn't full of dramatic ghosts or loud scares. Founded in 1906 and once home to about 150 people, Arena dwindled in the Great Depression. Today, only St. John's Lutheran Church, a few weathered homes, a grain elevator, and the burnt-out ruins of an old general store remain. Visitors say the sight of sagging wood, broken windows, and wind-whispered streets at dusk gives the town a deeply eerie feel. The church's foundation crumbles, and the outhouse leans just so, features that spark uneasy feelings of being watched. People exploring the Yellow House, a former residence occupied until the 1980s, report blankets hanging in windows and the odd creak of floorboards as if someone just walked by. On calm, overcast days, visitors often sense sudden chill breezes slipping through empty rooms and see shadows flickering among abandoned farm buildings. Though no one speaks of violent spirits or ghost sightings, the isolation and slow decay of Arena creates a haunting mood. Number 4. Temple, North Dakota, is a ghost town filled with mystery and quiet fear. Once a busy railroad and farming town, it slowly faded away after the Great Depression. Today, almost nothing remains but crumbling foundations, rusted cars, and an old cemetery. Visitors say the real haunting in Temple is not just in the silence, but in the strange and unexplained happenings. People have reported seeing shadowy figures walking through the tall grass, only to vanish when approached. Some claim to have seen a glowing light moving across the prairie at night far from any roads or homes. One traveler even said their car engine shut off near the cemetery and wouldn't restart until morning. Others tell of hearing strange laughter, like children playing, even though no one is around. A group of urban explorers once entered an old garage and found fresh handprints on dusty glass, though the building had been sealed for years. Another visitor said they saw an old man standing on what used to be a church foundation. When they got closer, he disappeared into thin air. Temple may not have many buildings left, but the land itself feels alive, haunted by images, sounds, and moments that don't belong to this time. Number 5. Sherbrooke, North Dakota, is a real ghost town with a haunting that feels as much emotional as eerie. Once the county seat from 1885 to 1919, Sherbrooke slowly faded away after the courthouse and hotel fell silent. Today, only the skeletons of old homes, a rusted Studebaker, overgrown foundations, and a small cemetery remain. Visitors describe more than just silence. Many speak of sudden feelings of being watched, even though no one is there. Urban explorers stumbled upon a child's playhouse, window draped with faded curtains swaying in a windless field, a scene so surreal it felt like something from a horror movie. Others wandering among the stone foundations felt their heart beat faster when they saw shadowy figures slipping behind derelict walls, vanishing if approached. One night photographer recalled stepping out under moonlight to find a rusting old car, its presence alone jolting an adrenaline rush that felt supernatural. No one has captured full ghostly apparitions or heard clear voices, but many share stories of inexplicable chills, sudden emotional heaviness, and glimpses of movement amid the ruins. Sherbrooke's haunting isn't loud or violent. It's the deeply unsettling feeling that the town's memory lingers in every broken window and half-buried brick, making visitors feel they've walked into the faded echo of past lives. Number 6. Trotters, North Dakota, is a tiny, lonely place that feels quietly haunted, not by ghosts, but by real, eerie moments that linger in the silence. Founded in 1903 and named for its first postmaster, Francis Trotter, the town once had a post office, a church, and a store where the last resident, Leonard Hall, served as postmaster and lived above until 1995. Today, only the old church, the pump area, and the cracked pavement remain. Visitors say the atmosphere itself sends a chill. One photographer noted the prairie grasses stood motionless under the moon, yet the gas pump's handle was found slightly changed, as if someone had just used it, though no one was there. Another explorer spoke of entering the church. Inside, hymn books lay open on worn wooden pews, though the building hadn't been used for years, and the air smelled faintly like old incense, long gone from the town. No dramatic hauntings or ghost sightings are reported here, just small, mysterious happenings that remind visitors they're not quite alone. The town doesn't scream or groan with ghosts, but through these tiny, unsettling signs, it quietly whispers of its own past, and the people who once brought it to life. Number 7. Frieda, North Dakota, is a small abandoned town with an unexpected eerie charm. Founded in 1910 along the Milwaukee Railroad, Frieda once had about 50 people, its own bank, post office, and grain elevator, but now stands empty except for the crumbling depot and a few weathered buildings. The depot's wood walls are peeling and the windows broken, yet the place still feels frozen in time. What gives Frieda a haunted reputation are the strange discoveries and sudden changes people report. One visitor exploring the depot ruins noticed the door, which they'd slammed shut, mysteriously standing open moments later, though nobody was around to move it. Another saw shadows drifting just beyond the broken glass, slipping away before they could see who or what it was. Several explorers also found piles of old papers and letters heavily scattered near the depot floor, as if dropped in a hurry a century ago, giving the sense that people vanished and left everything behind. One odd story even tells of hearing a distant train whistle in the dead of night, even though the tracks were removed decades ago. Frieda's lonely landscape, weathered buildings, and these real unexplained moments, doors reopening, lost voices from a bygone era, scattered papers, give Frieda its softly haunting truth. A place where history still moves, even when no one is watching. Number 8. Wheelock, North Dakota, is a ghost town wrapped in a dark and real history, more than just empty buildings. It's haunted by tragedy. Founded around 1902, the town once held over 100 people at its peak. But between 1926 and the 1930s, at least 4 murders took place, forever staining its past. One of the most brutal events was a bank robbery in 1926, when three armed men stormed in, killed the banker, and escaped with cash. Only one was ever caught. The violence didn't stop there. Around 1930, two families were massacred by a disturbed man who later said, "Please excuse me, for I am insane," before taking his own life. These horrifying real murders leave a heavy silence over the abandoned town. Visitors today describe eerie feelings, feeling watched, sensing an evil presence, and quickly leaving the town. The town's deserted streets, peeling buildings, and the memory of violent crimes create a haunting that doesn't rely on ghosts, but on real human horror. Wheelock's haunting truth lies in its brutal past, and that lingering sense of unease you feel as soon as you step onto Main Street at dusk. Number 9. Charbonneau, North Dakota, is a real ghost town, empty now, but full of strange and eerie stories that feel almost true. Founded along the Great Northern Railroad in 1913, the town once had around 125 people, a schoolhouse, post office, grain elevators, and even homes. After the post office closed in the 1960s, people left, and the town emptied out by the 1980s. One of the most hair-raising reports comes from a visitor who saw lights shining inside an abandoned house late at night, and even smoke rising from the chimney, yet nobody lived there for decades. Inside the old grain elevator, explorers often hear clanging metal and eerie screeches, as wind moves loose steel beams and rusted siding. In the schoolhouse, which still stands on a dusty hill, visitors have spotted a large owl flying out of the dark attic. Its sudden movement startled them, adding to the spookiness. Atop the hill, the small cemetery feels watch, with weathered gravestones leaning as if surveying the empty town. There are no floating ghosts or ghostly figures, but these real and unexplained events, the lights, the furnace-like smoke, the screeching elevator, and the sudden owl, make Charbonneau haunted in its own silent way. Number 10. Heartland, North Dakota, may seem quiet and unremarkable today, but its abandoned buildings and strange happenings leave a real sense of eeriness. Established in 1907 and once a lively village with stores, a hotel, church, and school, Heartland slowly emptied after its post office closed in 1966. Now only a few structures remain, including crumbling homes and a fenced-off grain elevator. But it's not just silence that makes Heartland feel haunted. Visitors and passers-by have shared real, unsettling experiences. One explorer reported unexplained lights flicking on in the empty schoolhouse at night, lights that had no visible power source. Others driving past the old machinery yard spoke of their vehicles stalling suddenly when passing old farm equipment, even though the engine worked fine before and after. Some hikers describe sudden bursts of cold air inside sunlit, open spaces where there's no wind, giving a chill that feels out of place. One local even told of finding a single child's boot left near the abandoned church, no other shoes around, just that one old boot, as if someone vanished in mid-step. These are not spooky tales of ghostly figures or screams. In Heartland, these small yet real mysteries make the empty prairie feel watched and give the town its quietly terrifying truth. Number 11. Omi, North Dakota, is a real ghost town, not because of spooky spirits, but due to its sudden decline and eerie decay. Founded in 1887 and once a busy railroad hub with over 650 people, it had everything from opera houses and grain elevators to banks and hotels. But by the 1960s, it was falling apart, its school shut in the 50s, the post office closed in 1967, and by 1990, nobody lived there. Today, only a couple of crumbling buildings, a rusty electric line, and old pavement remain. Visitors often report unsettling sights. Open holes in the ground, leftover cisterns, and the remains of sidewalks leading to nowhere. People walking around the old site sometimes sense a strong presence or atmosphere, as though the town itself remembers its past. One former resident even shared, "The spirit of the town will forever haunt me. I have no plans of ever returning." Though no ghostly figures have been recorded, the town's complete abandonment, open pits, and collapsing structures give it a truly haunted feel. Omi's haunting comes not from ghosts, but from the powerful sense of loss and history felt in every empty street and broken sidewalk. Number 12. Manfred, North Dakota, may still be home to a few families now, but it's best known as a ghost town filled with strange, unsettling experiences. One of the oddest tales comes from the old Hotel Johnson. Visitors reported seeing its windows lit at dusk, even though the hotel had been empty for years. Inside the grain elevator, explorers say loud thumps and clanks echo without any wind or equipment nearby, metal beams moving deep within the structure. Nearby, the old schoolhouse seems to give off a presence. People moving past have felt sudden dizziness and vertigo, as if the air itself absorbed all energy. One local even shared that, during a quiet afternoon, they heard an organ's distant melody drifting from the abandoned Vang Lutheran church, yet no organ or power had been inside for decades. These real, eerie experiences make Manfred feel truly haunted in a way unlike any other North Dakota town.